faced the 6 ruffians who were armed to the teeth, and to whom the night lent the visages of demons, and said in a firm, low voice, "Well, I don't mean that you shall." They halted in amazement. The ventriloquist, however, finished his grin. She went on. "Friends, listen well. This is not what you want. Now I am talking. In the first place, if you enter this garden, if you lay a hand on this gate, I'll scream, I'll beat on the door, I'll rouse everybody, I'll have the whole 6 of you seized, I'll call the police." "She'd do it too," said Thénardier in a low tone to Brujon and the ventriloquist. She shook her head and added, "Beginning with my father." Thénardier stepped near. "Not so close, my good man," said she. He retreated, growling between his teeth, "Why, what's the matter with her?" And he added, "Bitch." She began to laugh in a terrible way. "As you like. But you shall not enter here. I am not the daughter of a dog, since I am the daughter of a wolf. There are 6 of you. What matters that to me? You are men, while I am woman. You don't frighten me. I tell you that you shan't enter this house because it doesn't suit me. If you approach, I'll bark. I told you I'm the dog, and I don't care a straw for you. Go your way, you bore me. Go where you please, but don't come here. I forbid it. You can use your knives. I'll use kicks. It's all the same to me. Come on." She advanced a pace nearer the ruffians. She was terrible. She burst out laughing. "Pardine, I am not afraid. I shall be hungry this summer, and I shall be cold this winter. Aren't they ridiculous, these ninnies of men, who think they can scare a girl? What? Scare? Oh, yes, much, because you have finical puppets of mistresses who hide under the bed when you put on a big voice. Forsooth, I ain't afraid of anything, that I ain't." She fastened her intent gaze upon Thénardier and said, "Not even you, father." Then she continued, as she cast her bloodshot, spectre-like eyes upon the ruffians in turn, "What do I care if I'm picked up to-morrow morning on the pavement of the Rue Plumet, killed by the blows of my father's club, or whether I'm found a year from now in the nets at Saint Cloud, or the Isle of Swan, in the midst of rotten old corks and drowned dogs?" She was forced to pause. She was seized by a dry cough. Her breath came from her weak and narrow chest like the death rattle. She resumed, "I have only to cry out, and people will come, and then slap, bang! There are 6 of you. I represent the whole world." Thénardier made a movement towards her. "Don't approach!" she cried. He halted and said gently, "Well, no, I won't approach, but don't speak so loud. So you intend to hinder us in our work, my daughter? But we must earn our living all the same. Have you no longer any kind of feeling for your father?" "You bother me," said Éponine. "We must live, we must eat. Burst!" So saying, she seated herself on the underpinning of the fence and hummed, "Mon bras si dodu, my arm so plump, ma jambe bien faite, my leg well formed, et le temps perdu, and time wasted." She had set her elbow on her knee and her chin in her hand, and she swung her foot with an air of indifference. Her tattered gown permitted a view of her thin shoulder blades. The neighboring street lantern illuminated her profile and her attitude. Nothing more resolute and more surprising could be seen. The 6 rascals, speechless and gloomy at being held in check by a girl, retreated beneath the shadow cast by the lantern, and held counsel with furious and humiliated shrugs. In the meantime, she stared at them with a stern but peaceful air. "There's something the matter with her," said Babet. "A reason. Is she in love with the dog? It's a shame to miss this, anyway. 2 women, an old fellow who lodges in the back-yard, and curtains that ain't so bad at the windows. The old cove must be a Jew. I think the job's a good one." "Well, go in, then, the rest of you," exclaimed Montparnasse. "Do the job. I'll stay here with the girl, and if she fails us—" He flashed the knife. which he held open in his hand in the light of the lantern. Thénardier said not a word, and seemed ready for whatever the rest pleased. Brujon, who was somewhat of an oracle, and who had, as the reader knows, put up the job, had not as yet spoken. He seemed thoughtful. He had the reputation of not sticking at anything, and it was known that he had plundered a police post simply out of bravado. Besides this, he made verses and songs which gave him great authority. Babet interrogated him. "Say you nothing, Brujon?" Brujon remained silent an instant longer. Then he shook his head in various ways, and finally concluded to speak. "Oh, that's bad. Let's quit." They went away. As they went, Montparnasse muttered, "Never mind. If they had wanted, I'd have cut her throat." Babet responded, "I wouldn't. I don't hit a lady." At the corner of the street they halted and exchanged the following enigmatical dialogue in a low tone. "Where shall we go to sleep tonight?" "Under Pantin, Paris." "Have you the key to the gate, Thénardier?" "Pardi." Éponine, who never took her eyes off of them, saw them retreat by the road by which they had come. She rose and began to creep after them along the walls and the houses. She followed them thus as far as the boulevard. There they parted, and she saw these 6 men plunge into the gloom, where they appeared to melt away. End of Book 8, Chapter 4.